Blog Talk Radio.
Hello everybody and welcome. This is episode number 6 of Real Combat Media Radio, the boxing news radio show of www.realcombatmedia.com, where we bring you all boxing and MMA news from around the globe. Check us out 24/7 and also follow our Twitter at Real Combat Media, that's at Real Combat Media, and like our fan page on Facebook by typing in realcombatmedia.com on your Facebook search bar. Once again, I'm John Campbell, your host coming from Manchester, England. Follow me on Twitter at BoxingJohnUK. My Facebook fan page is also named BoxingJohnUK. Once again, I'm here with my trusty host, the boxing maniac from the Bronx in New York. It's D. How's it going, D?
I'm good, John, man. How you feeling?
I'm good myself, me. Have you been today? Everything good?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's Monday, so that means it's Real Combat Media Boxing Show. I'm always excited and, just happy to give, the listeners another great show because that's what we do here.
Well, I've got a busy day on Mondays. I've got a few lectures at university and also I have 2 training sessions. I have a training session at St. Paul's, which is a gym that I go to, and also I have a training session with the boxers at university. So, but I always get through it because I know that for the past 6 weeks I've had a show to do anyway. I always get through it.
Yeah, that's good, man. I mean, I think I need to go to a boxing gym, John, because, I'm starting to get this gut here, man, and that's not cool, It's not attractive. So I think I need to go in there, the gym, and, work out and bust some ass in there.
Oh, well, even if you're not looking to do it serious, it's always a good workout, boxing alongside cycling and swimming. It's one of the best forms of exercise you can do, combat training.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, especially just to keep in shape, your cardio, your stamina. So, it'd be good to do it. I got to start considering.
Well, Bernard Hopkins will talk a lot to you about that. Your life's a candle. Don't burn both ends. You got to take care of yourself. Otherwise, you're the only person that's going to suffer. Now, I'd like to point out that we have an RCM store where you can find a range of products to potentially purchase. There's Alpha Brain, a great new pill on the market which enhances your brain to its true potential by opening up your intellectual channels. Also, we've got the Elevation Mask, which gives you the same breathing conditions as a person at high altitude, so no longer will you have to travel to the hills. Also, we have hemp protein. Even more, type in Real Combat Media when prompted, and you'll receive 10% off all RCM store goods. If you'd like to sponsor and grow your business with RCM and be featured in a shout-out such as this one, then send an email to advertising@realcombatmedia.com. That's advertising@realcombatmedia.com. Today we have a treat for you. We have 3 fighters coming for interviews. We have Tony Thompson, fresh off Saturday night's stunning second-round KO win in the Liverpool Echo Arena of the undefeated British prospect David Price. We also have the 23-year-old undefeated welterweight sensation Jessie Vargas coming to discuss not only his bout on March 16th against Wale Omatoso, but also his future plans and his potential career ahead of him. Not only this, but Keith one-time Thurman, the knockout king, will be talking to us about his fight with Jan Zavek. Also, he formally accepts his Prospect of the Year Award 2012, given to him by the writers and the fans of Real Combat Media. At any stage, if you want to appear on today's show and then discuss boxing with us, feel free to call us on 347-324-5998. Also, we'll be discussing the K9 Bundridge versus Ishii Smith fight, the Lamont Peterson Kendall Holt fight. We'll be discussing, outside of the interview, we'll be discussing the Thompson and Price fight and the implications of that, more so. We'll also be previewing the April Brigor fight at lightweight. And we'll wrap up discussions by talking about the Mayweather fight and the move to Showtime. But now we're gonna attempt to get Tony Thompson on the phone right away for you. Coming off a great win against a young, hungry lion in David Price. And a very shocking, a lead hand knockout.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Thompson. You're live on Real Combat Media Radio. How are you?
I'm fine.
Now, this is your second appearance. I'd like to thank you once again, and I'm sure this is a much happier chat than the last one. Not that the last one was particularly sad, but I'd like to introduce you once again to my co-host D, the Boxing Maniac.
Hey, Mr. Thompson.
Are we on live right now?
Yeah, that's correct.
Hey, are we on live right now?
Yeah, that's correct.
Oh, dang it. Okay.
Are you okay to conduct the interview right away?
Well, I need about 10 minutes, guys.
That's no problem at all. We can call you back in 10 minutes. That's fine.
Okay. Do that for me, please.
All right. Take care. Okay, Tony Thompson in 10 minutes time, guys.
Yeah, he probably had to take care of something real quick. That's no problem. We'll definitely get back to him and conduct the interview. So, like you said.
Well,
go ahead, John.
What I'd suggest is that we get one of our other interviews on to pass the time. We've got we'll get Jessie Vargas on the show. Bear with me. Okay, we've got Jessie Vargas. Hello, Jessie Vargas. You're live on Real Combat Media. How's it going?
It's going very well. We have 3 weeks left for the fight. For March 16th against Wally Motoso, and we feel great. We're in great condition. The weight's under control. I'm excited to showcase my skills come March 16th.
Yeah, okay. You're fighting the undefeated Australian Whale Otomaso from Australia. What stage of training are you currently in? Are you currently in the most intense part of your training camp?
I'm sorry, if it's the most intensive fight. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't catch you. What is it?
Are you at the most intense part of your training camp?
You know what? Right now it's just basically maintaining, and maybe we're in great shape. We're in great condition now. So to tell you the truth, I feel that the weight was being controlled about 5 weeks before, 6 weeks before the fight. So, now we're pretty much close to 147. Now, the condition, I'm going 8 rounds now, whenever I want, easy. So, I can't really say this is a hard part in my training camp. We passed it already. We're just having fun right now. We're just getting all of our skills and the game plan, just getting it set for it so we could have an easy night come March 16th.
All right, no worries. Now, you're quite a busy fighter still being very young. Do you do individual training camps for each fight, or are you always in the gym?
I'm always in the gym, but as soon as, usually we start training camp for each fight about 6 to 7 weeks before the fight. But before that and after any fight, we still stay busy. We still, hit the gym because, this is what I love to do. So I stay in the gym.
Now, talk about your next opponent. He's undefeated, but his resume is not as good as yours. What do you know of this guy? Have you been watching tapes of this guy?
Yeah, when my coach, Robert Officer, he studied him very well. He told me what game plan is best for this fight. And, I did see a clip of him, and he's a good fighter. He's undefeated for a reason. But I don't feel that he has the same skills I do. I think I'm much more talented. but I'm just gonna have to show it. Come March 16th, it's on paper. It's a good fight. We're both undefeated, and I'm hoping that this fight can open the door for bigger and better opportunities. Maybe a world title right after this, but first is Omotoso.
Now, at this stage in your career, do you set a game plan for each individual opponent, or do you just go in the ring and do your own thing?
No, we study each opponent. It's a different task for every fighter that every fight that we come into. But we're just Robert comes up with the game plan, and I just follow up with it.
Now, you've got an impressive resume for a 23-year-old. You're undefeated in 21 contests. You've beat Steve Forbes, Leonardo Tyner, Vivian Harris, and Jose Lopez, who, of course, has gone on to do bigger and better things. These are all solid names, but which one do you see to be your most impressive win to date?
My most impressive win? Well, my win that a lot of my fans like would have to be Josecito Lopez, because it was a great matchup. It was a great fight, and also Leonardo Tyner was an interesting fight. I would say also Vivian Harris. I mean, I've had a couple of good fights. So, but out of all of them, I would say my fans enjoyed the Lopez fight the most.
Now, you're really in a desirable position here, Jessie. I will say you've got a stacked 147 division, right, and you've got a 154 division, which is also stacked, which, of course, I'm guessing that you're going to fight in at some point. You've got two divisions that are full of sharks, and you've got well over a decade to fight in them. What's your long-term plan? How do you want to attack this? Because you've only got one career, and there's a number of ways you could go about it.
You know what? You're very right. 147 is stacked, and 154 is too. Yeah, we have great talent. And usually, 147, 154, it's the most common in weight classes. So, we're always going to have more talent there. So, and I'm glad that I'm in the mix with I'm in the mix with all the fighters at 147, 154, because it makes for great fights and it makes for great fights. So, this is the early part in my career, but I want to be world champion in 147 and 154, and if possible 160, because maybe within a year, who knows, I might go up to 154. I'm feeling stronger. I'm maturing more as a man. I mean, I'm 23 years old, but everyone's prime is 25, 26. So right now, what I'm doing now, most fighters that are in my position, they're older than I am. They're about 27, 28, 29, and I'm doing it at 23. So, sky's the limit. I'm in it for the long haul, and I'm looking forward to having many more accomplishments in my career.
Now, of course, as you say, your first port of call, before you think of anything bigger and better, is to get that first world title around your waist. Of course, belts change hands, and they possibly will change hands before you get a title shot. But looking at the division now, which titleist would you like to go for?
Me now? For anyone I would have liked to have a fight with Guerrero. He's a good fighter, and he comes to fight. So I like fights that are competitive. I like fights where the fighter in front of me, is a fighter. He wants to fight, and Guerrero is one of them. So I would have liked to fight with Guerrero. And the 147 division is stacked, so there's plenty of competition that we can go against.
Yeah. As you say, based on the size of the average man, I'm guessing, the welterweight and then the light middleweight divisions are the really packed divisions, and they've always been the glamorous divisions besides the heavyweights. They're the ones that the majority of your Whittaker, De La Hoya, Whittaker, Chavez, Mayweather, De La Hoya, all these big super fights and these mega fights, even going back to Hearns Leonard, they all happen around that weight class. Now, currently at the top of the division is the likes of Marquez, Cotto, Pacquiao, Mayweather. Now, chances are you're not going to be able to fight all of these guys based on the stage you are at your career and the fact that they're on the way out pretty soon, within the next couple of years, I'm guessing. You might get a chance to fight one or two of them, but the guys who are on the way up, who are going to be throughout your career, are the likes of Canelo, Trout, Keith Thurman, Kell Brook, Devon Alexander. Are these the guys that you see to be making the career-defining fights for you?
Yes, I do. I mean, they're the guys that are in now, that are world champions now, and they're still young. They have a bright future in front of them. So, you know, I'm hoping I do get someone with a name such as Manny Pacquiao on the market. I mean, every young fighter, that's what they want, you know, to be recognized and beat the top guys. Hopefully we do get the opportunity before, because like you said, you're right. You know, they're on the way out. They only have, you know, maybe 2 years, 3 years left, and then hopefully we get the opportunity to be in the ring with them. But, you know, there's, like you said, there's a lot of names, and as long as I become champion, that's my ultimate goal. Everything else is just extra. If I did find a superstar such as Manny Pacquiao or Thurman on the market.
Mm-hmm. Now, which fighters, past or present, do you take your inspiration from?
My inspiration, well, you know, my inspiration, I would say, what inspires me is just to be the greatest in what I do. I love to box. I love this sport. And I've had this dream since I was 8 years old to becoming a world champion. So that's what inspires me, just to accomplish my goals.
Mhm. Now, how is Top Rank treating you now you've signed with them?
They're treating me good. You know, I'm happy to be a part of the Top Rank company, and you know, my manager Cameron Duncan, everything. Thankfully, my career is I'm happy with how my career is now and where it's going.
That's good. Now, you're already in the top 10 of the welterweight division in the WBC and the WBA. How many fights do you think you are away from getting that title shot? Do you think you could get it this year or next year, for example?
I really hope that I get it this year. I mean, it's 2013. I'm 23 years old. You know, beating Wally Motoso, he's an undefeated fighter. I think it's a great step up to take me into a world title shot.
Mhm. Now, being at the early stages of a potentially great career, not to speak too soon, is there anything you'd like to say to your fans or a message that you'd like to pass on to people that listen to this that may not be aware of you?
No, I just want to let everyone know, tune in March 16th on HBO. It's Jessie Vargas and Wally Motoso. You won't regret watching the fight. There's gonna be fireworks, and you know I'm here to fight for the fans, and I hope you enjoy all my future performances.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, would you like to shout out Twitter or promote any businesses while you've got the chance to?
15, that's the first one. Was that? I'm sorry?
Would you like to shout out your Twitter or promote any businesses?
You know, no, I just want to thank everyone for being with me since the beginning, and you know, I want to thank all my fans for you know being there to support me and always having my back.
Okay, thanks a lot, Mr.
Okay, D. Jessie Vargas, what do you make of that?
That was good, man. You know, highly touted prospect at the welterweight division, and he looks like a fighter that's gonna be ready to fight whoever comes his way. You know, he's definitely with a powerful promotional company in Top Rank, and even though they've been taking some you know beating from Golden Boy as far as shows is going, and but no one brings up their fighters better than Top Rank. Not saying that Jessie Vargas started with Top Rank, because he didn't. You know, he was signed to Floyd Mayweather. But I think they know what they have, and he'll be fighting for a title soon, especially with a win, you know, this March 16th. So I definitely see Jessie Vargas, you know, sometime early next year, or maybe, who knows, maybe late this year, fighting for a title. So, you know, very interesting. You know, he's also fan friendly, so it should be good.
That's the thing with Jessie Vargas. He's a highly touted prospect, but I don't think he's high. I think he's one of the top 5 sort of guys to come and potentially be a pound for pound top of the list, or at least in the top sort of 5. He's 23 and he's 5'11". He's a tall guy. He can move up a number of weight classes. He's already fought the likes of Steve Forbes. He's fought Josito Lopez. He went on to do bigger and better things. Now he's signed to Top Rank. You mentioned that. You mentioned this before. I'd like you to elaborate on your point regarding Top Rank.
Yeah, as far as them setting up their fighters the right way, on the road to a title shot, they do a very good job. It's very rare you see them rush their fighters into big fights. They move them slowly. And absolutely, he's beating the world champion in Josecito Lopez, and he's beating a gritty journeyman in Steve Forbes. So those 2 names there, I'm not gonna say makes him anything spectacular at the moment, but it's a good start for him. And with a win did March 16th, especially an impressive win. If he can knock him out. And that definitely opened up the doors for him. And, he's with Top Rank. People could say what they want. He's still, in my eyes, is still the most powerful promotional company in boxing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now that interview was brought to you by RCM Feed World Hunger, a charitable organisation named the Post-Harvest Project, who provides aid and relief in the form of technologies to deprived areas in order to enhance their farming and fishing abilities. You can find that link in order to make a charitable donation on www.realcombatmedia.com. Now, I'd like to bring a special co-host on the show. It's Jenny J of On the Ropes Radio. Hello, Jenny, you there?
Hey, how's it going, John?
Yeah, how are you going today? You doing well?
I'm doing very well. Happy to be here.
That's good. We're going to interview Thompson right away. First of all, I'd like to introduce you once again to Dee, my co-host.
Hey, Jenna, how's it going, girl?
I'm doing fine. How you doing?
That's good. The maniac is always, cooling.
Nice.
All right.
To have you back.
Yeah, we have missed you, Jenna. We're going to give it a call. Get ready, guys, for Tony Thompson.
Your call forwarded to an automated.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Thompson. You're live on Real Combat Media once
Hello.
again. How's it going?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Yeah. It ain't too much echo in it, is it?
Nope, that's completely fine on my end. Is that okay for you, Dee?
Yeah, I'm good. I hear him clearly.
All right, Thompson, we're ready to get started.
All right, let's go.
Okay, Mr. Thompson, we're getting a bit of technical difficulties. Could you try to speak once more?
Yeah, can you hear me better now?
That's fine. Thank you very much. Now, congratulations on your tremendous KO victory over a bigger, hungry lion in David Price. You must be on cloud 9 right now, aren't you?
Man, I'm on cloud 9, 10, and 11 right now. It's a big accomplishment, man. We, like I've been telling people that I've been saying, I took the fight for some money. Trying to tell them wasn't no money in the fight, but that the money was the opportunity after that. And and I went over there and I created my opportunity, so I'm happy about that.
Well, it's funny that they say that because this is the biggest payday Price has got, but you've just come off a fight with Vladimir Klitschko filling the soccer stadium in Germany, so that's quite an odd point to make. Now, one thing I instantly noticed about you the other night is that you're not known as being an outwardly emotional fighter. You're a very reserved, very collective kind of guy. But before this fight, you had an intense look on your face. Did you feel different coming into this fight?
Well, I mean, I'm at a crossroad. Everybody know that. I know that, I was coming to the end of my career. But I wasn't ready to let people tell me I was at the end. I'm going to decide when I end this thing, And and people came in there and they wrote me off. I'm a guy that only lost 3 fights, one, the number 5 fight in my career, and the other 2 against the world champion. And they were just talking about me like, I just was a nobody, And then on top of that, they booed my national anthem. I mean, for me, that just set the deal for me, man. I was already determined not to go out on a losing streak in my career. I've never lost 2 fights in a row, and I was already overly determined. And they just did everything they could to make sure I was on the high for that fight.
Yeah. Now the fight was pretty slow paced while it lasted. Was your plan to take away any momentum from him and frustrate him and show him that you're not there to be hit and make it a difficult fight for him?
Well, I wanted to definitely make it a difficult fight, but I also wanted him to, I wanted him to be confident. I really did. I want him to be confident. I want him to get over anxious, because that stuff's going to play against you. Everybody know I'm not a huge puncher. I can punch, but I'm mostly a counter puncher. And I needed his aggressiveness for me to be effective, and that's basically what I wanted. I want him to get overconfident. I look very, lackadaisical, but I look like that in all my fights. So it wasn't anything new for me.
Now, in the second round, one punch ended it, and it was a lead left-hand shot. You talk about not having a big shot. It was a lead right-hand shot. Now, questions have been raised about David Price's chin, of course. Although the shot was one of those awkward brain shots that you see, it didn't look to be too powerful. Was you surprised when it had the effect it did? Did you expect that at all?
Well, I knew he could be touched. So, and if I can touch you, I can knock you out. I can touch you on a consistent basis. And people don't think it was a big shot, but a lot of that landed. I got a lot of momentum into that shot. And the fact that I was, at 262 pounds, that's a lot of man hitting on a human head. So I wasn't necessarily overly surprised because that's was in our game plan, to counter and look for the stoppage.
Yeah, now, only a couple of weeks ago, you was on this show and you hinted that if you lost, you'd have to consider your future in the sport. And a couple of days later, you was quoted in an interview being more explicit in that statement, and you just touched on that earlier. Now, you've completely destroyed a big prospect who was undefeated and who's knocking everybody out. Now, any idea of this being your last fight is blown out of the water, I'm guessing.
Oh, it's definitely not my last fight now, Like I said before, that was a statement to see what I could still, if I could still compete in this game and what I could do. And it showed that if I get in tremendous shape, I can compete with even the young lions of the division. So, now that I have beaten David Price, I would love a fight with Tyson Fury or, Povetkin. If I can get Povetkin in the ring, it's all in an attempt to get back to Vladimir. All of the attempt to get back to Vladimir, who I know does not have no reason to fight me. He's already beat me twice. He's destroyed me the second time, so he has no reason to beat me. So I have to do something special to get back in that driver's seat. And I think beating David Price, Tyson Fury, and Povetkin, then I can call out Vitaly, beat Vitaly, I can get back to Vladimir.
No, obviously, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. It'd be an exaggeration to say you performed completely amazing. It was quite a slow, even fight, and you caught a one-punch knockout. Now, what was you make of your performance besides the knockout? Do you think that you was looking to get a points decision anyway? Did you feel confident in there against him?
No, well, we never went for a decision. All week, everybody's been asking me, how was the fight going to end. I told them I was going to knock him out before the 8th. I never go overseas looking for a decision. I never even want to leave that in the judge's hands. So, no, I wasn't playing by for a decision. The first round was a filling out round. I wanted to get his speed, get his power. Everybody thought he hit me with some right hands, which I caught and rolled. It didn't affect me. I wasn't overly affected. Even when I was in the corners, I was always calm, catching shots. So, at the second round, I went out, tried to be more aggressive, and try to put my game plan in order.
All right, now, once you knocked him out, you became really, really animated, and this is something I've never seen of you, and you were shouting to the fans, presumably. Now, I couldn't make out exactly what you said. Was it, "I told you so," or something along those lines? Like, why was you shouting so much? What was you saying?
I told him that I told you he was going to fall for the trick. You know, like I said, those guys, they booed the national anthem. You know, they shouted some very ugly things towards me and my folks, and it fired me up. And I wanted to give it back to them like they gave it to me. If you gonna dish it out, you damn sure better be able to take it. So when I took mine like a man, I performed like I was supposed to do, and then I gave it back to the crowd like they gave it to me.
Yeah, no, taking into account the fact that you was abused while she was over there, what was the feeling that went through you when you absolutely flattened the guy in front of his home fans? Was it a complete relief, euphoria? What did it feel like?
Well, it wasn't no relief. It was what we were supposed to do. That's what we came over here to do. So I wasn't relieved. I was more like, I told you so. I don't know why y'all didn't want to listen. Everybody want to talk about David Price, 15 fights, 13 knockouts. But Tony Thompson has, 36 fights with 24 knockouts, and I fought some real guys. So that showed you what I could do.
That really is a good point. There's no sign. There was no sign of you being on the downfall. You got beat off Vladimir Klitschko. You got beat off a few years ago. There was seriously no reason to suggest that you was on your way down. And just because he was on his way up with 15 and 13, as you say, you've beat some guys that are much better than the guys he's fought. His best winner would probably be Matt Skelton. Now, let's talk about the critics, Tony. Last week we had Eddie Chambers on the show, in a similar personality to you, and also quite a skillful fighter like you. He said that he feels like he's overlooked as a fighter because he wasn't outspoken and he's not disrespectful and he doesn't capture the imagination. Taking what he said into account, do you feel redeemed and that you've proved to these doubters that you are a tiger and you're not a kitten?
Well, I don't, to me it's all about myself. My team has stood behind me. They supported me. I tried to work hard for them to show them I was still dedicated to the sport. So it wasn't really about the doubters. I've had doubters my whole career, and I got 37 fights, and I still haven't proved most of those doubters wrong. Even you guys got a hint of, well, the lucky one-punch knockout. Nobody ever sat back and gave me the credit that I think I deserve, which is okay because I don't really give a hell. All I care about was those people that was in the corner with me, they believed in me. And I was happy for them as well as myself.
No, of course. Like a lot of people do expect you to lose. Now, I personally was surprised when it ended the way it did. I didn't think it was impossible for you, but I did predict a Price win, to be honest, and I'm quite sure about 80% of the fans would have. Now, looking forward, it's quite clear that you have to Vitaly on the way to Vladimir. As you said, Vitaly is probably your next bet in terms of a title shot. You could fight Povetkin, but you want a real title.
Well, listen, I'll fight Povetkin. I just don't think his people would ever take a fight with me. I would love to fight Povetkin because it's still a step up. Whether it's a real title or not, it's a step up. And I have to keep taking steps up until I get to the top of that mountain, Vladimir. So it doesn't matter. I just know Povetkin people scared as hell of Tony Thompson, especially right now.
Okay, now I'm going to pass you on to Dee for a few questions, and we also have another co-host from our own radio show, On the Ropes Radio, Jenna J, and she's going to ask you a few questions after that. Okay, Dee, it's all on you.
Hey, Tony, how's it going today?
All right, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Happy speaking with you. And so one thing I got to ask you is about your preparation for your fight with David Price. You came in and you weighed the heaviest of your career, 262. How good of a shape were you in the fight?
That's not true. I've been heavier.
Yeah?
So, yeah, I was just a lot younger and it didn't look as bad. But the truth being, I stopped worrying about my weight so much. I thought getting down to a certain weight, low 40s, was really just stopping my strength. So I stopped worrying about my weight. I stopped trying to get the David Price, the David Hay, the Larry Klitschko type body, because that's not my body type. I have to look the way I'm going to look, but as long as I can perform to the top level, it don't matter what I look like. And I think I showed I wasn't tired, and even when I wasn't huffing and puffing, even though it wasn't a whole hell of a lot of action, I felt good in the fight.
Okay, now, so do you think if you went later into that fight that you would be fine, that your stamina would carry you through?
I'm sorry, repeat that?
I said, do you think you're, being at that weight, you were in good enough condition to go late into that match, or did you believe the whole time that you would have to knock him out, the way you came in?
Well, I believe I had to knock him out, but it wasn't because of my weight. It was because we were in Liverpool fighting a guy from Liverpool who was supposed to be the next big thing. We wasn't going to leave that up to the judges. But was I concerned about going late into a fight? I'm concerned about going late into any fight. First of all, the later you go, the more chance you give your opponent of knocking you out. Second of all, I'm a 41 going on 42-year-old man. Obviously, you're going to have some type of conditioning issue. It ain't because I didn't train. It's just that's just what the law of time is. Time loses to no one. Not to say that I could not get through the 12-round fight because I had confidence that I would have, because by the time I was tired, guess what? I really expected David Price to be out on his feet or even more tired. So I wasn't overly concerned about being tired. We prepared for being tired. I welcome tired because that means I've done my job and he's tired also.
All right, well, Tony, as John alluded to before, it was just one single shot that ended this fight, and some people out there aren't giving you full credit for your performance or for your win because of that. They're saying, well, David Price, he had a glass chin. He was proven that way of the fight. When you look at it, Tony, how do you see this thing going? Is your class showing through in this fight, or just basically that David Price wasn't even up to your level?
He wasn't up to my level in the first place. It was all them guys that's out there, making excuses for him getting knocked out, who was before saying he was going to knock me out in 6. Remember, these are the same people that say he's going to knock me out in 6. So when I proved that wrong, now they have to be, they continue to want to be right by giving an excuse by why I did not perform well. It was just David Price. And like I said, fuck him. I'm fine with that. I don't give a shit. That's not my issue in this game or in this life. I don't, obviously the fans that's with me, they know they always can approach me. We can have drinks. We can talk. I talk to them on Facebook. Everybody know you support Tony Thompson. Man, we can yap about it all day. That's fine. But if you don't, I'm not losing sleep over you. I have people that love me, support me, and are down for me, and that's the people I concentrate on.
All right, well, Tony, the same day that you knocked out David Price, another British fighter actually kind of redeemed himself, one that actually lost to David Price, that being Audley Harrison. He came back, and now your name's been tossed around as possibly facing him for the right to face Tyson Fury. I'm curious, what do you think about that scenario?
No. Audley Harrison is he's not a step up. I'm only taking steps up. He's not even a lateral step. What is Audley rank? 19, 20? Why would I waste my time going over there for no money again to fight him? No. It's not a step up. If the fight's not a step up for me, I'm not taking it.
All right, well, speaking of step-ups, Tyson Fury, how would you go about fighting someone Tyson Fury? He's been knocked down.
I'm sorry, repeat that.
I said, speaking of step-up, Tyson Fury, if you were to fight him, how would you go about facing him? He's been knocked down. He's gotten back up. He's shown that he can come back from a knockdown. How would you go about facing him?
Lesser fighters. He's for lesser fighters, the same as David Price. Y'all keep talking about these guys like they proved themselves. They haven't proved themselves against anybody but lesser fighters. Who's Tyson Fury's best win?
Derek Chisora?
Exactly. Who the hell is, Chisora? What has he done in the ring? Nothing. I mean, you guys are overvaluing people that don't deserve it. So you're thinking, this is a big step up for Tony Thompson. Hell no, this is a big step up for Tyson Fury.
Okay, now Dee's going to ask you a few questions, Mr. Thompson, if you don't mind, Dee.
Yeah,
no problem.
Tony Thompson, the Maniac, man. How you doing?
What's up, Maniac?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Last time we spoke, good interview. And I told you, man, you have to go over there and whip Price's ass, and you did what you had to do. Now, I don't care what people say. You knocked them out. At the end of the day, you knocked them out. You understand? Not a lot of people was giving you a shot in a fight where you was the veteran, you had the experience. They were looking at you like a stepped up for Price. Now that you knocked out Price, another highly touted heavyweight prospect. He's the second one to go down, Seth Mitchell. And what's good is that you're an American heavyweight. We've been looked down on for a long, long time. So, it's a big victory for the American heavyweights. So do you just want to keep on and keep fighting these European fighters? Like you said, step ups, like a Fury, like a Povetkin, so eventually you could get, Vitaly or Vladimir.
Oh, it's definitely a motivation that you want to represent your country, definitely. And I'm going to crush them all until they give us the respect we deserve, or at least the respect I deserve. So, listen, if you could get some of them European guys in the ring with me, the guys that people think I can't beat, if they would actually show their face in the ring with me, yes, let's get it on. Let's see. Somebody retire me. I'm going to tell you right here, right now, when I lose, I retire. Point blank. I lose, I retire. Somebody, one of you European guys, I hope you're listening, Povetkin, tell your people, don't be scared. I'm a 41, I'll be 42 years old this year. I'm an old man, slow, ugly, fat, all those things you think you can beat. Come on and get some. I'm going to come to Russia for your ass. I'm going to come to Switzerland for your ass. I'm going to come to Germany. I don't care. I'm going to come with 6 days' notice, with 5 days' notice. I'm going to do my job regardless of how you try to play me out.
Oh, man. All right, so we want to hear it now. Tony Thompson against Povetkin, what happens? Let's hear it right now.
Come on, man. You seen what I did to Price. Povetkin is made for me.
All right, so what round you going to knock Povetkin out?
I'm sorry?
What round you going to knock Povetkin out of your fight? We want to hear it first on Real Combat Media.
Listen, on the real, I plan for all my fights to be done by 8. That's just real. Because, I have knocked, if people look at my career, they keep thinking I can't hit. I have knocked some people out one-punch knockouts. I got a bunch of them. Look down the line, first rounders. I've crushed some people. But on the real, I go for that sustained ass whooping where the referee saves your fucking life. And he's like, you've taken enough beatings, or you stay down after the 3rd or 4th knockdown. One way or the other, I expect the fight to be over by 8. Nowhere in the world Povetkin stands in front of me for more than 8 rounds, period.
All right. So then that's a straight body bag for you. You fight Povetkin.
Hey, man. That's I'm gonna be the regular champion. Whatever type of made up title they gave him, I'm gonna be the regular champion.
So do you do the same thing to Tyson Fury? He get in there because we know Tyson Fury's very animated. He's always he likes to run his mouth. He says what he feels. And he even tweeted a picture. They were showing you. Like looking in the crowd, I don't remember what he said, but it was something slick. So maybe he's looking for a fight with you too. So I think that's a fight down the line that's gonna be good. But if you get in there with Fury, is he getting body bagged?
He gonna listen. What I just tell you, Maniac? You my man and all, but you not listening.
But I want to Tony, I want you to say, I'm going to knock Fury out in the 3rd round. He going to get, that's what I want.
I might knock Fury out in the 1st round. Because it's going to be Hagler Hearns all over again. If he wants to talk that bullshit he likes to talk, and he can think he can stand in front of me, let's fight. I won't step back. Let's see if you step back.
All right, man. So, all right, that's what we like here, man, for fighters to be honest and to be blunt. So when your team is looking to you and your team looking to step back in the ring, in the fall, in the summer, or y'all just going to fall back and just look at your options?
Man, I mean, really, if I can get back in the ring, 10 to 12 weeks from now would be great. I was in the gym today. I was in the gym. I honestly was. I just got out of the gym. I was working. So I told you guys I need 10 minutes. I had to wash my ass, put my clothes on so I could take my son to practice. I just got out the gym. That's what I do. I'm already preparing for the next one. So when Tyson, Fury, if he gets past Cunningham, because Cunningham might outbox him and outclass him, show his class in the fight. Even if he don't, I don't really even care. I just want to whoop Tyson Fury's ass.
Yeah. So Tony, let me ask you something.
They like they're ready. When do they fight? When do Tyson Fury and Cunningham fight?
The 20th, April 20th, and that's what I was gonna ask you. Is here, I live in the Bronx, so they're gonna be fighting right there in the Garden Theater, Madison Square Garden. I want to know were you gonna come down and take a trip? Because I know you're about 4 hours away, and be there live to see it. Maybe you could step the Fury live and tell him I want to whip your ass. I know you have no problem saying that.
Hell yeah, that's a thought. I didn't know they were so close, man. You put a bug in my ear. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Definitely, man. But I like that. You still stay hungry. So look, I was in the gym today. You're not taking that one for granted. If you want to, where you want to get, you got to keep, working hard. There's still some fights out there for you. And, they keep proving the naysayers wrong. I still think, people still going to say, he got lucky. But like we said, who the fuck Price fought, man?
Right.
And you've been in there.
They better remember one thing, man. Let me tell you something. Old man used to tell me, we used to gamble back in the day. He used to tell me all the time, Tony, I can't whoop you. I can whoop on you. I'm telling them little young motherfuckers right now, I can whoop on you. And then one thing we used to say back in the day that still remains true. To get some ass, you got to bring ass.
Yeah, absolutely right, man.
You want to get this ass, you got to bring your ass. And you going to get put on your ass.
There you go, man. Yeah, man. Man, Tony, man, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate your time, man. This was, a real good interview. I like that, you let your emotions. You said why you felt, man, and that's all we ask for fighters. Just keep it 100, man, and that's the most important. And if you keep working hard, you'll eventually get that title shot again. And hopefully this time, the third time is a charm, and
third time is a charm, man. I'm gonna pull this shit off, man. I got to pull something special off before I call it career.
Okay.
Okay. Be a holy deal.
Okay, Mr. Thompson, I'm gonna give one of the callers a chance to ask you a question if you don't mind.
Okay, go for it.
Hello, you're live on Real Combat Media. What's your name and where are you from? Hello? Going. Go on. We've got another caller. I'm gonna bring him in the air. Hello, you're live on Combat Media Radio. What's your name and where are you from? Hello?
You know what, shy callers, John.
It looks like nobody wants to speak to us, Mr. Thompson.
Tony, man. Tony, he's the tiger in them. He's like, damn. We gonna leave Tony alone. But Tony, man, if you go to that fight the 20th, man, I'll definitely see you there. We could have a drink and whatnot.
Well, I don't drink, brother, but I'll let you give me a Mountain Dew or something. That's cool.
All right, I'll give you some Poland Spring, man. No problem.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Mr. Thompson. We really appreciate this.
No problem.
We're really glad for you. We're really happy for you, and we'll go to the forward. You know where I am. Let me know about your next fight, and you're welcome. You could be a serial customer every time you fight. Come on the show, and we'll talk about it.
All right, no problem. Y'all have a good night, man. Peace.
Yeah, you too. Take care. Tony Thompson, guys, very, very happy, very, very satisfied, and you can't help but feel happy for a guy like that. He's been lowly touted by the press. They've given him crap, and as he said, his only two recent losses have been to Vladimir Klitschko.
Yeah, look, one good thing about this fight game, man, like you said, John, on this show, we even picked Price to beat Tony Thompson. So we was, we even picked against him. But we knew it wouldn't be a whitewash. But he did what he had to do. And that's what's so good about this sport. Sometimes the fights, where I'm not going to even watch this fight because I know the outcome ends up being the opposite. So that's good. And it's good for the sport of boxing. Because it's just like, all right, Price is an up-and-coming heavyweight. He's going to knock Tony Thompson out. Eventually, he's going to fight Fury, a big fight in UK. Nope. Tony Thompson, he put a dent to that. And it's good for boxing. And it's also good for the state of the heavyweight division. American heavyweights are considered, bottom of the barrel heavyweights. Let's just be honest here. Because we know it's obvious the European heavyweights, they run the heavyweight division. So just to see, a U.S. heavyweight to go into Europe and knock out one of the highly touted prospects, I mean, it's good for the sport. Nothing against David Price. I'm assuming he'll be back, and he'll be back in the picture, and, probably become a world champion in the future. We don't know. But what we do know is Tony Thompson knocked his ass out, and Tony Thompson to get himself another big fight. So that, that's a real good thing.
Now, Jenna, he did make a point when you was asking him about Tyson Fury and these guys, that they are on the way up and they've not proved themselves. Tyson Fury's best win is either against Kevin Johnson or Derek Chisora and Price. Matt Skelton's his best win to date. Now, to what extent do fans get caught up in the hype of young fighters like that prematurely, where fighters themselves need more concrete evidence to say that a fighter's good?
Yeah, I mean, that's the one big knock on David Price was we saw him skill level wise. We saw what he could do in the ring. He had the power. He had the athleticism. He reminded people a lot of a young Vladimir Klitschko. But at no point in his 15-fight professional career had we seen him take a flush, hard shot on the chin. We had seen that with Tyson Fury. We've seen him take a shot. We've seen him get knocked down, come back up, and knock a guy out. David Price, we never saw that. Now it's the big question, what would happen when he got hit? And we saw it. We saw what happened. That was, it was a shot that tweaked the neck. It cranked David Price's neck, and obviously he didn't react very well to it. And you have to wonder what's going to do to his career. I mean, we've seen Amir Khan come back from a devastating KO when he got knocked out by Prescott. How will David Price come back? One thing is for sure, people aren't going to think of him the same again. So I know that, the skill level, people are going to question who did David Price fight to this point. Look, at this point, fighting Tony Thompson, it was a logical test. It was a logical fight. I talked to David Price beforehand, and from what I heard from him, he thought that this was a step up, but he didn't think he was in any risk or any danger. He believed a little bit of his own hype. I don't think he believed that Tony Thompson could beat him. So, I think it's a learning experience for any fighter out there. I think it's always best to have a fighter tested before you put him in this type of competition. Tony Thompson was coming off of a loss to Vladimir Klitschko, the champion of the world. I think David Price needed a little harder of a test and actually tasted flush shots before this fight to really be prepared for it.
Now, when David Price stopped Audley Harrison the way he did, he said, don't criticise Audley Harrison. That would have stopped everybody. That would have stopped Klitschko the way that I stopped Audley Harrison. Can we just blow out of the water any possibility of David Price ever beating Vladimir Klitschko? Can we just put that out there? It's not going to happen.
As of right now, no. And I think just in general, man, this is the Klitschko's. I mean, they just one of the best boxers in the world, period, man. These guys are just phenomenal athletes. Nobody in the heavyweight division can beat these guys right now. Now, can somebody land something lucky and pull it off? Very possible. But as far as David Price eventually, becoming...
Hello?
Yeah. What was that noise?
I have no idea what's going on.
John, I have to ask you, is Britain still there? It sounded like, it was like an end of the world scenario there. It just like completely wiped out the phone lines. You all right?
I couldn't hear anything. It just went blank for like 10 seconds. What was it?
I think it was some freaky blog talk error. Live radio, you can't expect it to be clean. It's always going to have a little something.
All right. I mean, okay. No problem. But at the moment, no. Go ahead, John.
Let's go for it. What was you saying?
No, it's just that right now, Price has to really, start from the beginning all over again. He has a lot of work to do before we could even consider him, an opponent for Klitschko. Who knows? By the time he gets there, is the Klitschko's even still fighting? So at the moment, no. I'm not going to just take loss from him and say, oh, it's over for Price. That's it. That's not the case, man. He could come back stronger. But if he's going to be chinny his whole career, then no way he gets even close to Klitschko. Because, heavyweights could punch. It doesn't matter whether they phenomenal punchers or not, man. A dude 260, 270 lands flush on you, you're going to go to sleep if you ain't got a good chin. So.
And a lot's been said about Vladimir's chin, and I will say that, of course, Vladimir's chin has been tested by fighters, and he has stayed up. And we've not saw much from Price in terms of durability of his chin, but it could just be like a chin versus chin competition, where like the first guy lands a good shot, goes down. Now, Jenna, what did you make of Tony Thompson when he said about he's not willing to take a step down, he's not willing to fight guys that are on the way up, he wants to make his own path here, and he wants to take steps up and fight the best guys in the world? Is that a good attitude?
Well, I mean, my train of thought on this right here is Audley Harrison is technically a step down. I mean, he did lose to David Price the way that he lost to David Price, but he did also win prize fighter. People would actually want to see that fight over in the UK. They'd pay good money. And if I'm Tony Thompson, I'm thinking business-wise. If I can get a good check and fight Audley Harrison and finally end that scenario, go for it. And if you beat Audley Harrison and, it gives you a little time in between the Tyson Fury and Cunningham fight, it can set up that big matchup there. It wipes out any other people in the UK. It makes it a clear path to a fight with Tyson Fury. I honestly think he should take that type of fight because he can get paid for it.
She's right, though, Jenna. I agree. Once again, I know Tony said he doesn't want that fight. But what is this game? It's a business. So money talks. If it's the same kind of money they gave him for Price, no, he doesn't take the fight. He feels, look, I'm not going to risk it. Now, if it's a good payday, hell yeah, he'll take it. He'll change his mind because it's a business at the end of the day. And plus, it's a real winnable fight for him. So I agree. Yeah, but the money has to be right in his eyes.
Oh, well, yeah, of course, if he wants to wait and get a fight with Harrison, but I agree with him to an extent. It would simply be for money. Of course, Harrison won the prize fighter, but Tony Thompson's coming off a fight with Klitschko. He's not sticking around. He's 41. He don't want to stick around and fight these guys. He does. I'll say Tyson Fury. He did say that about Tyson Fury, saying that who's Tyson Fury fought. But I'd say Tyson Fury is not necessarily a step up, but he's a step in the right direction. He's pushing down the guy that's on the way up, just like he has with Price. I would take that fight. Now, Jenna, how possible is this fight going to happen? Based on the fact that Tyson Fury might want to prove a point and say, look, I did to Thompson what you couldn't.
Well, I think it's a very possible fight. I mean, it's a fight that would make a lot of sense because, people in the UK, they're like, well, Tony Thompson, if he can beat a David Price, maybe he can beat a Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury, he hasn't obviously faced anyone on the level of Tony Thompson yet. So, I mean, it's a very possible fight. But, as Tony Thompson said, it really depends if he can get past Steve Cunningham because that's no gimme fight. We know Steve Cunningham's not a real heavyweight. He is a cruiserweight. He is going to weigh in at 205. Doesn't really matter. He's still a skilled boxer, and he's a guy that's capable of going the distance with Tyson Fury and making it a close, interesting fight. So, I mean, Tyson Fury's got some work ahead of him, and I think he has to finish that work before we can really talk about what are the odds of that fight happening of Tony Thompson.
Well, yeah. Now let's talk about Price Fury. Now, Of course, this is one of them fights that you think, right, they're saving it. They're letting it simmer, as Bob Arum says, as a way of making it make more money in the future and being a bigger event. Once one of them has won a world title, or once they've both got to a higher level of notoriety in terms of America. Now one of them's been beat, it always appears that it's going to be more likely to happen. Do you see Price versus Fury this year or next year being more likely based on the fact that Price will most likely be forced to take less money because he got beat, and Tyson Fury is just going to think, well, if he got beat off Thompson the way he did, why can't I beat him?
Yeah, it's it's a fight that's been spoken about, especially over there, across the pond. Big money fight. It'll sell out anywhere. But, once again, it's a business. Now, Fury might feel, look, I want to fight you, Price, but I might have other, opportunities in front of me, big money opportunities that, I'm not gonna go risk that to fight you, at the moment, especially after that loss. Now, if it's there down the road, absolutely. Now, Fury beats Cunningham on the 20th. That opens up door for another big fight. Tony Thompson will be one of the names that'll be mentioned. And I think that's a fight that can happen next for Fury. But in order for him to fight Price again, I think Price has to get his weight up again. He has to, win a couple of more fights, and, Fury has to keep winning as well. I just don't think it's a fight that at the moment we could kind of just push it to the side now. I don't think you push it to the forefront. Before Saturday, it was a fight that, everyone wanted to see. Well, any hardcore boxing fan. And now with him losing to Tony Thompson, especially the way he did, it's not like he lost a close decision where you say, wow, man, that was a good fight. I mean, he got knocked out. And like you guys mentioned earlier, the number one question mark for Price was his chin. And he got chin checked on Saturday. And he really looked like he was dancing, and he just didn't look good at all, the way he took that shot. And it was not like it was a solid flush. It was like, with the neck and then like skin in the ear. It was kind of a weird shot, but just didn't, fare well for Price. And it's gonna be a while, man. I think if it's gonna happen, it's down the road, John. Not no time soon. Not this year, not next year.
Okay, so you don't think it changes anything. Price is going to just take this loss and come back, and it's going to happen now. I'm going to try and take one of the callers failed to speak to Mr. Thompson on the show. Okay, you're live on Real Combat Media Radio. What's your name and where you from? I don't think these guys want to talk to us. I'm going to try the other one.
I think they're really shy, John.
That happens a lot.
Okay,
they just want to listen.
Okay, Jenna, they're live on the air in 3, 2, 1. I'm going to let you introduce them. I might scare them. Go for it.
Hello.
Hey, caller, you are on the show.
What's going on, man? What's this? The Monday Night Raw hotline? Is Rey Mysterio? Nah.
That's my man. This is my man, the Dominican Dream, man. Dream, how you doing?
What's going on with it, man? I see you guys are talking heavyweights tonight, man. Listen, man. The people want to talk Lamont Peterson, Kendall
we're
Holmes.
We're going to get there.
What's
go
next
ahead.
for Lamont, man?
As a matter of fact, you talk that in. Go ahead. You want to talk Lamont Peterson?
I want to know the panel thoughts on Peterson's performance and how do you guys see him faring up against Lucas Matisse?
All right, before you get that point, what was your, tell us what you thought of the fight and what you thought of Peterson and what you think should be next for Peterson. Go ahead.
Well, we had a post-fight show, man. The boxing roundtable after the fight, and I mentioned this, man. I mentioned that, I'm a Lamont Peterson fan, man, and I tweeted that beforehand so people wouldn't be like, oh, you jumping on the wagon now because he hot. Listen, man, this dude is an awesome guy, man. One of the nicest guys in the sport. One of the most humble dudes, and the dude got skilled, and the dude could fight, and he's hungry, man. And he came to prove the naysayers wrong. All the PD accusers, where they at now? Kendall Holt is not a world beater, but the dude was a world champ, and he's a decent fighter, with a lot of power, and not only that, Kendall Holt looked very good in the fight. He looked prepared. He was ready for the fight. And he got smashed in a way, quite frankly, that at least me personally, I never seen him get beat like that. You know, and I'm going to tell you right now, you know, remember that after DR Dream said this, Lamont Peterson, if he fights Lucas Matisse, he will knock him out. He going to sleep.
Oh,
Why?
I'm not sure about that.
Why? Because Matisse fought Devin Alexander. He fought Zab Judah. What did he do to them? They're not better than Lamont. Zab Judah finished. Zab Judah's done, and Matisse couldn't do nothing with him.
I'm sorry, Devin Alexander's not better than Lamont Peterson. You believe that Lamont Peterson would beat Alexander?
I believe it. Yeah, you betcha. You betcha.
What about Lamont Peterson, based on his ability and based on what he's capable of, makes you think that he'd beat Lucas Matisse?
Number one, Lucas is he's a small dude. Dude's like 5'4", 5'5", or something like that. Yeah, he's a strong dude, but he's not the power puncher. You think, oh, he got 25 knockouts. Listen, he got power. Okay, he got power. So does Lamont. Skill-wise, who's the most skilled fighter? Lamont Peterson. Who's bigger? Who's bigger? Lamont Peterson. Go
on. Sorry.
Lamont has boxing ability, man. Watch the Amir Khan fight. This dude is fast-footed and fast-handed, and he can take a punch. Matisse, I believe, really can't. And you're going to be like, oh, what makes you think that? I got eyes, son. Watch when Lamont Peterson starts landing on this dude. And remember, Lamont Peterson, listen, it's not like he's a knockout artist, because he's not, but he knows how to fight. He knows if Matisse want to come, he's going to box Matisse. And then when it's time to fight him, he's going to fight him. Matisse only comes forward, and trust me, when Matisse gets hit, he going to feel it, man. He going to feel it. Listen, man, this dude been in there with Victor Ortiz, who hits harder than Matisse. He's been in there, with Amir Khan, who's faster than Matisse, who does have skill despite his flaws. And he's performed up to world class caliber. And I got Lamont, man. I mean, listen, it's not a walkthrough. It's not easy, because Matisse is a very dangerous opponent. He can very likely win. It's gonna be like in my eyes, I give it like a 60-40 for Lamont.
Okay, now John, rebuttal that. What do you feel about that?
Well, no, I completely disagree with you first and foremost, but I'm gonna say why now. But I completely respect the fact that you gave a reasoned argument and you gave a multitude of points. That's brilliant. That's what we need on the show now. Firstly, I'm going to say Lucas Matisse came in the ring in the last fight over 160, so I'd say that he's at least on the Peterson wavelength in terms of size, regardless of height. I think he's stronger than Peterson. I think he's much stronger, and I think you're underestimating Lucas Matisse's boxing ability. Zab Judah and Devin Alexander are finely tuned, mechanical boxers who you think, if they go 12 rounds with Matisse, they're going to win. It's a game of cat and mouse. It's a game of Matisse knocking him out or them winning on points, and they both won on a split decision. These guys are multiple world champions. These guys are multiple weight world champions, and this guy's bringing him to a split decision when it's not even the way that he's not even an out-and-out boxer at all. I think that's brilliant. The fact that he didn't knock them out is because they're brilliant defensive boxers. Also, let's not talk about Mike Dallas Jr. too much, but you see the power. You see the power. That's ridiculous. I think that Matisse gets Peterson out of there in 7 or 8. I think Peterson fights for a while. It lasts a few early rounds, maybe first 4 rounds. After that, Matisse just chops through him. It'd be like a Gennady Golovkin-Rosado after a while. He did fight well for the first few rounds. Now, Jenna, what have you got to say about this?
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What was the question?
It was Peterson-Matisse.
Oh, man, I would love to see that fight. I think it'd be a fantastic fight. Matisse's been, knocking people out, knocking people over, taking them out in devastating fashion quickly. Put him in there with Peterson, a guy who's been dropped and gotten back on his feet and gotten through fights and fought on hard. I think it'd be a fantastic matchup if Golden Boy wants to make it.
Now, He's got 30 knockouts out of 32 wins. This is a special kind of fighter here we're talking about, guys. I'm not saying he's the best fighter. I'm not saying he's a world beater, but he's a special kind of fighter who knows how to put people down. Now, which side of the fence do you fall on? Do you fall on my side?
This is how I see it. Good points all around. I think we know. What interests me in this fight is that what Lamont Peterson possesses that Devin and Judah doesn't is that I think Peterson could fight two ways. He could get technical on you and he could rough you up. And I think that's a perfect style for Lucas Matthijs. I think Peterson will outbox him at times, and then at times he'll get in the chest and make it a phone booth fight to let Matthijs know, listen, I'm here. You understand? It ain't going to be an easy night. Now, I still, no matter if they came in the ring weighing the same, I think physically Lamont Peterson is the stronger man. Doesn't mean he's the stronger puncher. I'm just saying the stronger man. And I think that be an advantage for him in that fight. Now, my case for Lucas is that as so far we know he has devastating power. He did drop Devin Alexander. He did drop Zab Judah. He beat Mike Dallas Jr., but like you said, John, we can't really, push the envelope on that. We know that's what he was supposed to do. I see this fight, personally, as a 50-50 fight. We know Peterson got dropped by a hard puncher, Victor Ortiz, and he looked hurt in that fight. He got up and fought to a draw. That's one thing that I think Peterson has over Matthijs. We haven't seen Matthijs, has to dig deep. We haven't seen a fight where he has to get up, where he has to come back and fight. We haven't seen that from Matthijs. We've seen that from Peterson. Can Lucas Matthijs dig deep in the fight and come back to win? We haven't seen that yet. We know Peterson can. Not that he won the fight with Victor Ortiz, but he came back and fought to a draw, and that was after knockdowns early in the fight. And he fought Amir Khan and stood in there, and, we know Amir Khan, world-class skills kind of fighter. And we can make the argument that, he might have got robbed or whatnot, but he still won the fight. And, it was not what, Amir Khan failed to do certain things, but, hey, Matthijs is not on the level of Amir Khan, skill-wise. Now, if they do fight, this fight will answer so many questions for both fighters. It might even show us new things about these fighters. I just think it's a 50-50 fight. I think Lamont skillfully is the better fighter. No one can see that. But, John, I understand. I don't think, people think Matthijs is just a brutal, go in there, just knock you out, caveman kind of fighter. I think he has some skills as well. But it's just interesting, man. It's a tough fight to pick. I can see the fight going either way. But if I had to pick, I'm going to go with Peterson. Just because from what I've seen, his grit, he was tested. He came up. His mettle was tested in the Ortiz fight, and he came back and, he showed that grit. Same thing with the Amir Khan fight. He got dropped early, came back, showed that grit. I haven't seen that from Matthijs yet. Not until I see it, I'm going to have to go with Peterson. But it's a fight that could go either way, in my opinion. I could see Matthijs knocking Peterson out. I could see Peterson stopping Matthijs. It's just that good of a fight, man. And I'm just glad that Peterson did what he did, because now we got a new player at 140, and he's a world champion, so we know he's going to get the big fights. And Golden Boy is going to be forced to either put Matthijs in with Garcia if he beats Judah, or Peterson. So, looking forward to the summer or early fall. Should be a good fight at 140.
Yeah, I completely agree, and we were getting quite a lot of noise from the Dominican Madrim, so I've had to let him go, but we do thank him, and it's always good to see a good debate on the show. He provided a good number of points to his argument, and he sort of convinced me slightly, although I do believe that Matthijs beats Peterson all day long. But yeah, I'm glad to get that. I'm glad to get the Dominican Madrim on, and I welcome him to call next show. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get Keith Thurman on the show for you guys. So, what do you make of Keith Thurman, Jenna? We've not spoke about him yet. Now, is this guy the real deal or what?
You know, he's kind of like David Price in that regard. He really hasn't been tested himself. He fought Carlos Quintana, a guy that, you know, sometimes he's good and sometimes he's really bad. Some days he can get knocked out really early. So it's definitely going to be interesting with Keith Thurman. He has all the things needed to become a star. He's got the, you know, flashy style. He knows how to talk outside the ring. Question is, what happens when he gets hit? And that's what I'm really interested in seeing.
Now, I'm going to see if you agree with me here, Dee, but the one thing that impresses me about the Quintana win is that I didn't think it was going to be an easy night for Thurman, regardless of how much I do rate him. I think he's potentially brilliant. Not to speak too soon, I think he's potentially a world champion for sure. Quintana poses a lot of stylistic problems for Thurman, the way he moves around and the way he uses his feet, and he's never in one place. He's very light-footed. He's like a Cuban. He's very difficult to pin down, and I thought that would, for at least a few rounds, cause difficulties for Thurman. And when he knocked him out the way he did, I was very impressed. I didn't see it as a case of, oh well, that's what we expected from him. What about you, Dee? I genuinely was impressed by that win.
You know, like Jenna said, you know, Quintana, we don't know what we're going to get from Quintana, man. He's like an elevator, man. He's up, then he's down, and, you know, then he's in between. We just don't know what you're going to get from him. You know, Keith Thurman, he went and did what he had to do against Quintana. You know, I thought Quintana would have gave him more of a fight than what he did. But he didn't. I mean, we seen Andre Berto destroy Quintana. So, you know, right now, Keith Thurman, you know, up-and-coming prospect. And I think Zavek is a perfect fighter for him. This is, you know, another European fighter that's not going to back down from Thurman. I think this is going to be an exciting fight. It's going to be fought in the pocket pretty much all night. And it's going to be, till someone gets knocked out. And, Thurman, he has what everyone wants to see. You know, he's a knockout puncher. People like that. And if he could keep on, then, hey, but I'm not going to, just like even Adrian Broner, like Triple G, I'm not going to put these guys on that pedestal yet until they really prove something. But right now, so far, so good. Everything looks good. And hopefully he can become what people expect him to be. But he has to prove himself first. Okay, now we're gonna move on to the interview with Keith Thurman. I will ask the callers to stay online, and we will get to you straight after the fight when we do our discussions on the next fights. Okay.
First of all, Mr. Thurman, I'd like to thank you on behalf of myself and Real Combat Media for taking the time to do this interview. Now, I'd also like to tell you that you won the Prospect of the Year 2012, which was a Real Combat Media award in which both the writers and the fans voted, so congratulations for that. Now, you're fighting Jan Zavik. When are you planning to start the training camp for this, or are you already training?
Yes, we definitely been training, looking forward to the match. I expect a good fight. I know Zavik has plenty of experience. He's been in the top contenders and has been a world champion. So I'm looking forward to it. I believe this is a very good and crucial step up in my career.
Now, your last victory against Carlos Quintana was really impressive, and it really answered a lot of questions. Now, you brutally got him out of there in 4 rounds. Now, a fight which I think stylistically you may have had a few problems, but you just didn't seem to. You seemed to just walk straight through him. Does this fight in particular fill you with confidence looking ahead, or is it just another fight for you?
Like I said, I'm really looking forward to this fight. I believe that this fight, just like the Quintana fight, has challenges to offer me. I don't know, I plan on giving you guys a great performance, and I plan on exceeding every challenge with step of the way in my career. But, like I said, Zavik is a very, very game fighter. He likes to mix it up. He likes to press the fights. And
I'm definitely not really past Vargas right now. I'm looking forward to future fights this year and the opportunities that will open up after this fight, but I'm staying very focused on Zag and getting my victory come March 9th.
Now, looking back at the Quintana fight, when you knocked him down very early, you didn't decide to rush in on him like a lot of fighters do, like you see very often. You seemed very patient, which surprised me personally. Why did you decide to take your time? Was it out of confidence that you could get him out of there later on in the fight? Did you feel no rush?
Yeah, there really was no rush for me, you know. I was able to make a nice, beautiful statement with that body shot in the first round, you know, which is to tell him, you know, that I'm here, I'm not scared of you. You know, I was pressing him right from the start of the bell. You know, I came out to fight, and he was backing up. He wasn't sure what to do, and I was able to show him that, you know, even if you run away, you're not going to be able to run and fight for very long. And I was able to do it once in the first round. And so I told myself, if you did it once, you can do it again. So take your time, box smart, don't give up any rounds, don't rush in. You know, I wanted to look good, and I was able to do that.
Now, what reception are you getting from the fans? Are you getting a lot of love?
Yeah, you know, a lot of people are cheering for me. They love my attitude in the ring and outside of the ring. They're telling me to keep it up. You know, go for the belt. You know, you can do it, champ. I'm getting a lot of positive feedback. You know, people are telling me things that other people are writing or whatnot. There's still some critics out there, but that's the world of boxing for you, you know. I try to just hold on to all the positive things and, you know, take all the negatives with a grain of salt. Some people have some constructive criticism, and some people just, you know, they think they know a fighter after seeing them fight once or twice, which in my case, I don't know if that's true. I think you guys are going to have to keep watching me and keep seeing what I do in my career before you can assess exactly what kind of fighter Keith One-Time Thurman is.
Now, what about HBO? I know you've boxed on there a few times. Are you enjoying that a lot, being on the top stage?
Definitely, man. You know, performing on HBO is a dream come true. You know, as a kid growing up and watching some of the big fights and just knowing, you know, the big arenas and the networks. My trainer used to always tell me, growing up, my original trainer, D. Getty, I was starting to knock people out when I was 13 years old. I was knocking out grown men. And he told me then, he said, you know, when you turn pro, all you got to do is keep this up, boy. You keep it up. And then, once when you get on TV, you can do it again. He says, once when you knock them out on TV, they're going to love you. You know, the fans are going to love you. The networks are going to love you. So that's why my motto is KOs for life. You know, that's my job. My job is not only to go in there and perform and box, but my job is to create knockout, because it's exciting for the network and it's exciting for the fans.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And very much so in America is very knockout orientated. People in America seem to love knockouts very more than over here in Europe. Talking about that now, what do you plan to do when the day comes where your strength isn't quite enough? Are you able and willing to go 12 rounds and win a decision?
Oh yeah, man. We're definitely going to go 12 rounds. It's not like I go into the boxing gym and only work the bat for 3 or 4 rounds every day, you know. So we definitely put all the work that we're expected to do. It's just, you know, my job is to find the holes. My job is to find where your weakest link is and to capitalize on it. And, you know, I believe it is impossible for my power to not do the job. I have the kind of power that can lay anybody out. So I think the only way you can not get knocked out by Keith Thurman is to not get hit by Keith Thurman.
It really does appear that way from where I'm sat, Keith. I will admit. Now, we know that you box at both 147 and 154. Which one, if any, would you prefer to go for titles for, or are you just going to wait for the opportunity to present you? Should you win, like, this title eliminator, you're going to fight at that weight class? Or if another title pops up at a different weight class, are you going to go for that? What are your thoughts on that?
Me personally, as a fighter, my mental state is flexible when it comes to the weight classes. But we are moving back down to welterweight. We are going after the WBO Intercontinental that Zavit holds, and we are looking forward to going after the WBO title that Timothy Vargas holds. So for this year, I'm pretty confident in saying you should see me competing at welterweight, in the welterweight division. You know, I'm still young, and there's plenty of time for me to move up into the weight classes and take other belts. But at this current juncture, like I said, I believe we will be competing in the welterweight division for this year.
That's a very mature mindset to have. I completely agree with that. What are your long-term goals in the sport? Is it multiple weight classes, as you said? Is it pound for pound, high rankings in the pound for pound list? Which one thing do you sort of strive to the most?
As a long-term goal, you know, I got this desire to solidify all the belts. You know, I've done many interviews now, and you can look back. You know, I've stated before that I'm belt hungry. You know, I'm really hungry for a belt. I've called out, you know, all the champions in the welterweight division. You know, I want anybody that's holding on to a belt. So I think it'd be really, really interesting if I could solidify the welterweight division. You know, there's nobody really doing it right now. There hasn't been a welterweight champion who's held all the belts for a very long time, and I would like to make that happen. And then after that, we may consider competing at 154.
It's quite interesting you say that because let's suppose you fight Timothy Bradley this year and you do win a lot of belts at welterweight. It looks like the two oldest belts, the WBA and the WBC, are very shortly going to be in one person's hand, either Canelo or Trout. Now, would that be a worthy move up to you? Would you move up for that fight, whether or not you've got many belts at welterweight?
Look, like I said, my mentality as a fighter and the weight classes is very flexible. You know, my last fight, they asked me where am I going to compete at, and I told them, you know, I'm ready to fight anybody. You know, I called out the world of boxing. So if a good fight presents itself and if it seems like a good deal to me at a good point of my career, then, you know, we'll most likely make it happen. But boxing is so weird. You never know which fight is really going to happen, which fighters fall out, and, you know, who are they going to throw in to replace them. You know, so I really don't know what that future holds. But, you know, like I said, I know that for this year, we most likely going to be competing at welterweight.
Mm-hmm. Now, as I say, you are the for what it's worth, congratulations for winning the Real Combat Media 2012 Prospect of the Year. Now, I personally voted for you, and a lot of people voted for you. The reason why I voted for you was because I'm looking forward to your 2013 more so than any of the other candidates, more so than any boxer, practically all boxers. But out of all the current prospects who are yet to win a title, I'm looking forward to your 2014 more than I'm looking forward to Deontay Wilder's or Jason Velez's 2013, who are the other candidates. Now, are you confident that this is the year that you can make these really big fights happen, or are you thinking that you're going to be avoided for another year, or are you going to be put on the back burner for a while?
No, I believe that this year I should be able to make another clear statement. You know, last year was a really nice way to come out, introduction to show people who I am, who Keith Thurman is, and what I do in the ring, how I hold myself in the ring. And, you know, this year I plan on doing everything we did last year to do it better. We're going to have better competition. We're going to be in a better position in the rankings. And, you know, that position is what matters the most. And I believe once when I have that position, we are going to be able to make the big fights happen.
Mm-hmm. Now, following the Orlando Law bout, you said you wanted to fight Floyd Mayweather Jr. Now, most people would like to see this fight, but like me, many people have said that Floyd Mayweather will most likely retire before you get to the stage where you're in a position to fight him. But now that he signed a 6-fight deal with Showtime, does this make you more confident that this fight is something that you could achieve?
Definitely. You know, if Floyd plans on being around, and as long as we achieve all that we set out to, I I really don't see why we can't meet up in the future. I believe it's going to be a great fight for the world of boxing. You know, I can guarantee on my behalf that there's going to be a great performance. I told the people in the interview that I believe that I'll give everybody I'll give a better fight than Cotto did. And a lot of people enjoyed watching that fight. You know, so that's the main reason why I called out Floyd Mayweather, because I believe I can outperform Cotto, and I know that I got a left hook that can drop the world. So if Floyd Mayweather happens to be in the path of my left hook, he might end up getting his first loss. I'm very confident whenever I'm in the ring. I respect Floyd 110%. You know, he's done extraordinary things in the world of boxing. But, you know, everybody that I face, whenever I face a new opponent, they say that I haven't met this kind of competition yet. I haven't made up to this many rounds yet. Whatever they say. Another thing that they forget is my opponent has never fought me. Okay? Orlando Moore was never knocked down till he fought me. Zavitz has never been knocked down. I'm predicting a knockdown come March 9th. So, you know, there's an old saying that we had at our gym. It goes from when I was 16 years old, and a lot of professionals used to come work with Dan Birmingham, and I was still an amateur at the time. But to really be a part of King boxing and to work with Dan Birmingham, he used to throw all the professionals in with me, and we used to call it the King Thurman test. So it's not that I'm moving up to the ranks in the world of boxing. I'm going to put everybody through the Keith Thurman test.
The Keith Thurman test, that's brilliant. Now, at 24, you have an awful lot of time and a hell of a lot of fighters in your proximity. Are you one of those guys like a Carl Froch who's willing to go through the gauntlet and fight everybody back to back without a tune-up fight?
Oh, what's that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, at 24 years old, you've got an awful lot of time and an awful lot of fighters in your proximity of weight, 147 and 154. Are you one of those fighters like Carl Froch, for example, who's willing to go through the gauntlet and fight top fighter after top fighter after top fighter without a tune-up?
Definitely. I mean, as, you know, when you go from one good fight, you might as well just move on to the next. You know, I got over 100 fights in the amateurs. I won 6 national titles, and when we showed up to a national tournament, they put you in bracket, and after you fought this one guy, you had to fight the winner of these two, and then the winner of these two. You know, so you're always fighting the best of the best. You know, so I have no problem doing that in my professional career. I'm actually looking forward to making step-ups all the way through my up-and-coming fights in my career.
Mm-hmm. Now, you're 5'11" in height, which is quite tall for a welterweight. Are you willing to move up to, say, 160, 168 in the future?
No, sir. Those weight classes are definitely way too big for me currently at this age. Maybe towards the end of my boxing career, I might start to debate and think about such events. But you know, I'm still young and I'm hungry. You know, I got all the energy. You know, there's no reason for me right now to think about such moves. Those are definitely further along when it's going to be really difficult for me to continuously make, you know, weight classes such as 137 and 154. And we will take into consideration moves for 160 and up.
Yeah, no, of course, it's not a good idea until you've won the world titles at these weight classes. Of course, you're still a puppy. Now, you mentioned Timothy Bradley for the WBO welterweight title. Now, are you saying that you think you could get Timothy Bradley after his next fight?
Yes, I do believe that this fight is a title eliminator for the WBO, which would put me in the mandatory position. So I really hope that, it is possible and that we do make that happen.
Okay, I'm happy to wrap this up. Is there any businesses you'd like to promote, or anything that you'd like to say to the fans? Any sort of Twitter shout out?
Just, thank you to all my fans for your love and support. Everybody that voted for me for Prospect of the Year 2012. I'm really looking forward to giving you guys this performance come March 9th, 2013. I'm also looking forward to my other performances in this year, 2013. Just stay tuned. It's going to be exciting. I got a website up, KeithThurman.com. Check it out in your spare time. And like I said, man, thanks a lot. God bless.
All right, Mr. Thurman, thanks a lot. I wish you the best of luck.
Okay, guys, Keith Thurman, that was a good interview. That was brought to you by the RCN Help Hurricane Sandy Victims, which you can find on www.realcombatmedia.com. You can make a donation to the charitable cause and help those who've suffered from the tremendous hurricane which hit the East Coast last year. Now, are we there, guys? Dee, Jenna?
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, now we're going to bring one more on. We're going to bring Nick Bellafato, who's a fellow correspondent who's been on the show before. Nick Bellafato, how's it going? You live?
Hey, how you doing, John? Just sitting in listening to your great show. You guys are right on it. And
thank you very much. I really appreciate that from such an old school guy like yourself. Now I'm going to move on to the fight schedule. The fight schedule of fights that we've not covered. In the next week, we've got some good fights for you. In Kawasaki, Japan, 2 top 10 junior flyweights go head to head as Masayuki Kuroda takes on Juan Carlos Reveco on February the 27th. On the 28th, in San Juan de Tibas, Costa Rica, Brian Vasquez fights Luis Ernesto Jose in a 10-round super featherweight contest. On March the 1st, the IBF title is on the line as Billy Dibb and Evgeny Gradovic fight for that title. March 2nd sees another world title, the WBA junior flyweight title in fact, as the Ring Magazine number 1 ranked Moises Fuentes takes on the number 2 ranked Donny Nietes. Okay, now we're going to move straight on to the K9 Bundridge Ishii Smith fight. On the 23rd, the IBF middleweight title changed hands at the Masonic Temple in Detroit, Michigan, as Mayweather promoted Ishii Smith won a split decision against Cornelius K9 Bundridge with scores of 116 to 111, 114 to 113, and 116-111 the other way. I will say that this fight was not a thriller at all. Was you impressed by either fighter's performance, Dee?
I mean, this fight showed, it was obvious that, K9's, inactivity, his age showed in this fight. He couldn't pull the trigger really. He just didn't look good in all aspects. Ishii Smith, I wouldn't say looked too good himself, but he was the better fighter. He threw the better punches. He just looked more ready than K9 did. And I was disappointed in K9. I really was. I thought he would have gave a better effort than what he gave. And, it's going to suck for him. He's a fighter even as a champion. Nobody really wanted to fight. So now that he doesn't have anything, it's going to be hard for him to get fights. Or maybe not. He is with Golden Boy, so they might feed him to, per se, Angulo, Kirkland. There's still some fights there for him out there. But, at this point, I don't really think there's anyone that wants to see K9 again. But, congrats to Ishii Smith, man. And I think he loses his next fight, if you ask me.
Yeah, now, I will say congratulations to Ishii Smith. He's worked very hard to get where he is. But in the context of world champions and in the context of elite-level fighters, let's keep it real. A guy who was one of the worst title holders lost to a guy who has become one of the worst title holders. This is very much a paper title. This is a perfect example of a paper title. Now, I do respect both fighters for getting where they are because they work very hard and they work extremely hard. But in the context of Austin Trouts and your Floyd Mayweathers and your Miguel Cottos, this is a B-class fight. Now, what did you make of this fight, Jenna?
I was really disappointed by it. Well, first I was disappointed in the fact that it was even made, because on paper it was just as bad as it was in reality. It wasn't a good fight at all. And, watching Cornelius K9 Bundrage out there, I just really had to wonder what was his motivation for this fight. Because it wasn't to keep his title. He didn't go out there fighting hungry like, a guy that wanted to keep his title. He fought like a guy that was 39 years old and content with being 39 and looking that old. I mean, he didn't look like he had much of a game plan. He didn't look like he was knowing what the hell he was doing in there. I was really disappointed with K9 Bundrage because while he wasn't one of the better champions, to say the least, and he was one of the worst champions out there, he showed himself a lot better in his previous fights. I know he was fighting a down-the-hill Corey Spinks. I know he was fighting a down-the-hill Sakute Powell. Still doesn't matter. He looked better, and it seems like all the training and everything that Emmanuel Stewart instilled in him that he was using that made him look better left him. It was not there this past Saturday night. Ishii Smith was just fortunate enough to catch that version of K9 Bundrage, and I agree with you. He won't be holding on to that title very long.
Now, K9 started fast, but not too fast. He was mindful of the later rounds. And then it surprised me how in the later rounds he didn't step it up. I thought he was like, okay, he's applying some pressure, he's applying moderate pressure, he's landing a few shots, he's winning the first couple of rounds, he'll turn it up and he'll get him out of there in the 8th and 9th. And then he just stops. And it's like, well, why are you saving your energy and then not using your energy later on in the fight? What do you make of this, Nick? Is this just an anomaly fight? Were you happy to watch the fight? Because it just wasn't entertaining at all, considering it was a world title fight.
Yeah, well, I mean, I watched it, and it was puzzling in that, Bundrage trains a lot. I'm wondering if he overtrained. But besides that, I mean, he didn't show any sense of urgency. He must have known he was down on the card. I mean, they were telling him that in the 4th round, that they're letting it slip away. And, he was playing right into the hands of Smith because he would throw 1-2 punches. That plays right in. Smith was able to run him into counters. Counter punchers beat guys that throw 1 or 2 punches. It was just totally lackluster. Again, I wonder if he overtrained, maybe like you guys were talking about before, the age is showing up. But, he hasn't fought a lot. Usually when guys get a little bit older, if they've made comebacks because they haven't fought a lot, and they showed that they had something, they gained something from resting. This case is otherwise. But my whole beef with the fight is, I think Mayweather kind of paid for this for Ishii Smith. I wrote an article, how does Ishii Smith get a title shot? And who would have thunk he'd be mentioned now and maybe not contending on their level, but in a possible bout with Canelo or Trout or somebody else that wants to get at the title. He fought 3 guys with a combined record in their last 6 fights of about 3-14. So, he's ranked 14th by the IBF and nobody else. And he gets a title shot. So, I don't know. Maybe it's a wash. This guy gets a title shot. Maybe it's a clean slate after this. I'm not sure.
No, congratulations to him, but unless, the second he fights decent opposition, I don't see him keeping on to the title. And you make a good point about overtraining. That people don't realise. People just expect a fighter to come in the ring 100% every time. But as we know, it doesn't always happen. We don't wake up every morning and go do what we do feeling 100% every time because it's not a perfect world. So I still with K9, you make the point about age, and I don't quite agree because the same with like Tony Thompson, for example, when I spoke to him, K9, he was a late starter in the sport. So let's call it puppy years. In dog years, I'd say that he's younger than 39, but I don't know. What do you see, D? Is are we going to see a rematch? Are we going to see Ishii Smith versus anyone of notoriety? What do you think, D?
Nah, if there's a rematch, I'm gonna jump out my window. I don't want to see that. It's not a fight nobody's gonna want to see. There definitely be no rematch. Being that Ishii Smith is with TNT, So Floyd Mayweather will get him another big money fight. But as soon as he fights any decent competition, you know, he's gonna get beat up. And that's just the bottom line. He's a decent fighter. He's nothing to brag about. I mean, it just you happy for the guys because we understand his role to where he got. You know, he was suicidal. You know, there was a lot of stuff. But at the end of the day, E.J. Smith, as soon as he fights the likes of a Lara, you know, even the Martirosyan, well, let me even say Martirosyan, you know, because he's top rank, and, you know, Floyd made it clear that he's not going to put no money in Bob Arum's pocket. But as soon as he fight decent competition, like you said, John, you know, I don't see him winning. And as far as K9 goes, man, you know, what really helps him that he's with Golden Boy, and they have, you know, a couple of fighters at 154. So, you know, I could see him, you know, getting another fight. But he just doesn't look like he has it anymore. And age is starting to show, and who knows, his next fight out, he just might get knocked out.
Can I add something about K9?
Yeah,
feel free.
Yeah, Ishe beat a guy that, you know, and I talked to K9 about his left hand. He really doesn't have an educated left hand. And his trainer, Mustafa Muhammad, was telling him, hey, you ain't got nothing to worry about, just his right hand. So you kind of beat a one-handed fighter on top of K9 not doing too much. And, you know, I mean, he did what he's supposed to do, so just wanted to add that in there.
Okay, Jenna, what have you got to say on the matter?
Well, you know, I think as far as where each fighter goes, you know, you look at K9 Bundridge, I think maybe a fight with James Kirkland or Alfredo Angulo or something like that. I mean, you know, at this point, he'll never be a world champion again. From what we've seen and the way that he performs, it's not in his cards. He looked like a done fighter. He didn't look like a guy that ever wants to be champion again. I don't know what happened to him. He ain't hungry. The dog ain't hungry anymore. But as for Ishii Smith, because he's with Floyd Mayweather Jr., because he has that backing, I think Floyd will actually get him a big, noteworthy fight. And the name that I'm going to throw out there that I would not be surprised to see happen is actually Miguel Cotto. I would not be surprised at all to see Miguel Cotto versus Ishii Smith throwing that fight together, because it would be a big money fight for Ishii Smith. It will be something that TMT Promotions is going to want to promote, and I think it's just a fight that would just make sense for Ishii. He's going to lose his title. Why not lose to someone of the caliber of Miguel Cotto and make some money doing it?
Yeah, and get a big payday on top of that, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's possible, and, you know, Cotto's definitely looking back to get a title, so that definitely makes sense and something that might be possible. So, you know, let's see.
I've heard the statement a lot that professional fighters get treated like meat, but oh my God, that would be meat. That would be an absolute slaughter. And I wouldn't like to be Ishii Smith in that fight. Now we're going to move on to our last topic. Speaking about Floyd Mayweather Jr., is his announcement with the fight. And you know what, Dee? I'm going to let you tell this story. Tell the story about Floyd and Guerrero.
Which one?
About the announcement of the fight and about the showtime. I want you to announce it.
Oh no, I mean, Floyd Mayweather, he signed as everyone knows, he signed a 6-fight deal, with Showtime. And, he announced his opponent, Fernando Guerrero, and Robert Guerrero, excuse me, and for May 4th. And the deal is for 30 months, so that's 2 years and a half. And I personally don't think Floyd Mayweather's gonna fight 6 more times. Being just him turning 36 years old. But I think he might fight 3 to 4 more times the most, depending on I think every fight is gonna take something out of him. I think he beats Robert Guerrero, but I think Robert Guerrero is going to get, have his moments in that fight. Understand? And it's a big thing for boxing, man. It's a big thing. Floyd said after this, he used his, his leverage, his stardom, as a, at the negotiation table. and you know he struck all you, man. He's gonna get huge money, man. I believe no less than $30 million a fight. So you know, plus he probably gets like 90% of the pay-per-view revenue. He probably gets 100% of every concession that's sold in the arena. I mean, this guy. I mean, as far as a marketing, the guy is a genius. He's smart. As far as I think he's a cherry picker, and that pisses me off. People, you know, they could say what they want, but he's a cherry picker.
Yeah, you've got quite strong opinions about Floyd Mayweather, and I'm going to let you out. And we spoke about this a lot, D. I'm going to bring the others. I'm going to bring you two on in a minute. I just like D to make his point. What have you got to say about Floyd Mayweather? What's your opinion?
Well, I just think that, you know, when it comes to certain fighters, people look. Let me just put it like this: people bash other fighters for the same thing they praise Floyd Mayweather for. And what I mean by that is Floyd Mayweather goes up to 154, fights Miguel Cotto, right? But yet the same Mayweather zombies don't want him to fight an Austin Trout at 154 because Austin Trout is quote-unquote too big for him. But yet people want to see him with Canelo. Nobody has a problem with that. But Canelo's going to be close to as big as Trout if he fights Mayweather. Watch the difference. Because it's Floyd Mayweather. If it was another fighter, they'd be like, oh, he fought at 154, let him fight the next top fighter at 154. Or because it's Floyd Mayweather, and no, because, he's about money. And no, I don't care. I don't care about that ish. Floyd Mayweather's constantly saying he's the best. If he wasn't not saying that and just saying, look, I'm just fighting for money, I have no problem. But he's constantly saying he's the best. The Floyd zombies on Twitter, on the street, everywhere, is constantly saying he's the best or the greatest. Then prove it to me, goddammit. Show me. Fight a fighter like Trout. You understand? And if Trout beats Canelo, people's going to want to see a Floyd Trout fight. Oh, he shouldn't fight him. Let Floyd fight the winner of Kell Brooker Alexander. You see, that's that bullshit I'm talking about. Fight at 154. You cannot tell me Trout and Floyd won't be a big money fight if Trout beats Canelo and Floyd beats Guerrero at 154. Come on, man. That's the problem with boxing. People let these fighters get away with bullshit and are okay with it. That's bullshit. Fight the best. Challenge yourself. That's what fighters do. Guerrero went from 135 to 147 and beat two, tough welterweights. Nobody's applauding him for that. Floyd Mayweather fights Cotto at 154 and fights a good fight and everybody, oh, look what he did. Man, he didn't do shit. He fought a small junior middleweight and want to act like he fought, the best Miguel Cotto, man. Stop it.
Yeah, now there's a lot of people out there, and on the Facebook forums, it's ridiculous sometimes. These guys, and they're clearly not big fans of boxing. They're not even fans of boxing as a sport. They're fans of boxers. They're a big Pacquiao fan. They love Floyd Mayweather, and every single thing they'll frame it in a way that either goes against Pacquiao or goes against Floyd Mayweather's other rivals, or big up Floyd. They'll twist something. I'm not talking about just Floyd. Pacquiao has them, Cotto has them, all the big Marquez has them, all the big marquee fighters. They have these guys that will twist everything in their favour, and I think it's quite hypocritical. But at the same time, you can't sort of look at a fighter and say, oh, I want you to fight him, in order, because it doesn't work that way. We know that it's a business also. Now, Jenna, would you like to add to that?
Well, I mean, as regards to Guerrero versus Mayweather, and when you guys were talking about that, I don't think it's a bad fight at all. I think it's a fight that Floyd really had to take. It's #1 contender. It's got its Golden Boy promotions. It's a fight that makes sense in a lot of ways. It's just there's not that many fights out there, so I can't think anyone can really be overly negative for him taking this fight or anything like that, because he did give people the option of a Devin Alexander fight, and no one wanted to see that.
Yeah, no, I think I'm neutral about this fight. I think it's an okay fight. I think Guerrero's a good fighter. I think he's deserving of a shot at a big fight like that because he's done very well, and there's no reason to suggest that he can't at least be competitive and win a couple of rounds. He's very good at setting a game plan, and he's very good. He's very versatile. He's a utility fighter. He can box in a number of styles. Now, Nick, what have you got to say? Sorry, Nick, what have you got to say about this?
Well, like Jenna said, I mean, he's a mandatory. He beat a couple guys. Sal Cook-Ideen, he beat him. Nobody wanted to fight him. Probably revenue-wise, nobody knew who he was. But at the same time, he took him out. I picked Robert to beat Berto when nobody else was. I mean, Berto's probably a little bit overrated, but at the same time, again, he stepped up. Guerrero's not a small guy like people assume he is. He spars middleweights comfortably, and I'll go out on a limb and say he's got a good shot at doing something unexpected here. In that Robert tactically makes adjustments to the point where he can do different things. He's a little bit slower, of course. He's going to have a few disadvantages going against Mayweather, but I think in the end, Mayweather is going to have to make a couple of adjustments to Guerrero, being a southpaw, being a slick kind of guy, being a tactical guy, which is very interesting. Again, I really think Mayweather is going to have to make adjustments. I'm going to see how he goes about doing that. In the end, Robert is going to fight better than Victor Ortiz, and I think he's going to exceed what Miguel Cotto was able to do in spots. Like Dee said, he's going to have his moments. How many of them is the question, and what's Floyd going to do as far as responding? Again, I like Robert Guerrero's chances of doing something here.
Okay, Nick, can we get an early prediction?
Prediction? Well, it's tough. I mean, I'm leaning in Floyd's direction, but I give Robert Guerrero more of a shot than most people would to pull off something. He's got power. If he lands, he could have knocked Andre Berto out. I covered the fight. He did his little thing on the inside, roughing him up, but once he extended on his punches, he rocked him. He rocked him, socked him, put him down, and he didn't do that till later towards the 12th round. He rocked him again. So, I don't know. Again, he's slower, but I give Mayweather a slight edge, but we'll see.
Okay, Nick, we're going to wrap up in a couple of minutes, so I'm going to give you a chance to say goodbye and let you go now.
Okay, hey, thanks for having me on. I look forward to listening in your future shows.
Okay,
take care,
Nick.
Jenna and John. Adios.
All right, Nick, thank you.
Okay, now, Jenna, what's your early prediction?
My early predictions of the fight, I think it's actually going to be a lot closer than people think. And people are going to suggest after the fight that Floyd Mayweather Jr. is actually slipping. I don't think that would be the case at all. I just think that Robert Guerrero, having the length and size that he has, is going to make an awkward fight for Floyd. He's going to make Floyd a little hesitant, and it's going to be a closer fight. Than a lot of people would have it. I think it's going to go the distance. I believe Floyd Mayweather Jr. is going to win, but I'm only going to have him winning by a close margin. I see this fight being as close as the Miguel Cotto fight for Floyd, and Floyd having a lot of questions about him after it.
Okay, Jenna, we appreciate you coming on, and we hope to see you on a lot more frequently. I'm going to give you a chance to say your goodbyes now.
All right, well, thank you guys for having me on the show. It was a pleasure talking a little boxing with you. I'm on hiatus from my own show. I had a real nice all-British edition, and if you guys haven't seen it, you can check it out on my Twitter, Jenna on the Ropes. It was Ricky Hatton, Price before he got knocked out, and hope you guys enjoy that. Catch you later, guys.
And just to say, it was
all right, goodbye.
Okay, bye-bye. And just to say, that was a brilliant show. It's one of the best boxing radio shows I've heard now. D, 30 seconds, what's your prediction?
Man, listen, man, I'm not believing the hype. Floyd he's gonna put the beats on Robert Guerrero. He'll be a tough customer. It'll be a tough fight for the first 4 rounds. After that, it's gonna be a whitewash. Floyd is too fast for him. Guerrero comes in a straight line, doesn't really have head movement. It's not gonna give Floyd angles. He's just gonna be an easy target for Floyd. And I can see this fight being stopped. Like I said, it'll be tough for the first 4 rounds. From the 5th round up, it's gonna be all Floyd Mayweather. So Floyd Mayweather, by unanimous decision or by late round stoppage, TKO.
Okay, D. Now I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it a unanimous decision for Floyd Mayweather. I'm going to call it a 9-3. I think 9-3. Yeah, I think Guerrero's going to win a couple of rounds tactically through ring generalship and through craft. I think he's a very crafty fighter, and I love watching fighters like him. I just don't think he's got the speed. If he had the speed, he could actually put up a good fight with Floyd Mayweather, possibly. But I just don't think he's. I don't think he's going to do it. I'm going to give it a unanimous decision to Floyd. Okay, guys, it's time to bring proceedings to a close and wrap up episode 6 of Real Combat Media, and what a great show it was. One more time, let me direct you to the RCM store on www.realcombatmedia.com. Type in Real Combat Media when prompted to get a 10% discount on all our products. Check us out on Twitter at Real Combat Media and like our Facebook fan page named realcombatmedia.com. I'm your host, John Campbell. Check me out on Twitter at BoxingJohnUK. Now, D, shout out your Twitter, quick time.
Yeah, good night, everyone. You already know it's D Boxing Maniac. Follow me at Boogie Down Sean. Have a good night. Until next Monday, see ya.
All right, guys, that's the end of the show. Take care. Bye-bye for now, and we'll see you.